Hello everyone and welcome back to Brussels Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff that's mostly pretty good and maybe one of the best movies of all time, or I review something that absolutely sucks and is probably one of the worst movies of all time and should remain in the depths of hell. Today I will be reviewing a film from 1984 that, if you really think about it, you could pair it up with Tron. Um, Not for the actual, I, like, overall genre, but for more of the behind the scenes and the a certain thing that I will get to in a bit. But anyway, today I will be reviewing The Last Starfighter, released in 1984. Um, so I actually never really heard of this movie until about a few years ago, and I found it such an interesting concept. Um, and like it kind of piqued my interest, and so I found this Blu-ray in the what I think the $5 bin at like Walmart in a few years ago. Picked it up and never watched it until recently, and by recently I mean really today. Uh, I know at the time I'm uploading this is technically Saturday. Um, um, but I technically watched this on Friday, twice. One just to see, just check out the movie finally, and then a second time to really analyze it, so I can be 100% on my thoughts for the film. Um, and so yeah, let's go over some of the details. So this was released on June 13th of 1984. It had a budget of $15 million. Domestically, it made over 28 million. Worldwide, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Um, but from what I've read, it was a moderate success. Um, it did financially well. Um, and um, it wasn't a flop. Um, and this was directed by Nick Castle, who you guys may know from a few reviews ago. He um he famously played the Shape in John Carpenter's Halloween. Um, and that isn't the only Halloween reference I will make in this review. I mean, granted, with the movie being The Last Starfighter, you guys know where I'm going with this, but uh, if you haven't seen it, uh, really, all my reviews are spoilers, like really. So if you haven't seen the movies, and uh, go and watch them, and if you have or just don't care, um, keep on watching. Um, but um, but yeah. Anyway, let's get on to the plot. So after achieving the high score on Starfighter, which is it's technically it's kind of like Tron, where the center of the movie is based off of a video game or games in Tron's case that didn't really exist until kind of after the movie came out. Well, it didn't really exist when they were making the movie. It was made up for the movie. But anyway, um, after achieving the high score on Starfighter, his favorite arcade game, everyday teenager Alex Rogan, played by Lance Guest, meets the game's designer Centauri, played by Robert Pressman, who reveals that he has created Starfighter as a training ground for deploying and recruiting actual pilots to help fight a war in space. Whisked away from the Bentley of his trailer park life to a distant alien planet, Alex Alex struggles to use his video game playing skills to pilot a real ship with real lives at stake. Um, uh, so yeah, kind of a little, out of the norm. And, I mean, I personally don't blame anyone who kind of finds this plot convoluting, because when I first read this, I'm like, what the hell is this movie? But as I obviously watched the movie more than once, I was able to understand the plot a lot more easier, which I think everyone should do. Um, Sorry about if my voice sounds a little bit more quieter. I'm like filming this at like midnight or like 12 or 1 in the morning, so I'm trying to keep my voice down so that no one else awakes in my house. So sorry if my voice this episode is a little bit more quieter than usual. Um, I'm just trying to, you know, let everyone get their sleep, but also trying to make a video for you guys. Um, but anyway, let's get on to the characters and the cast. So we have Lance Guest from playing as Alex Rogan and also as Beta Alex. Now, if you guys again are fans of the channel, you guys may remember um, that Lance Guest played a kind of a cameo. Well, not really cameo, but he played a role in the not as good sequel, Halloween 2. He played one of the ambulance drivers, and he did fine in this, but this was really, I think, his first actual movie role. Um, but really, he got to shine in the Last Starfighter because he's the main character of the piece, and I think he really does a fantastic performance in this film. Playing this teenager that wants to, you know, do something else with his life instead of being in a kind of stupid old trailer park. I mean, granted, every teenager, really wants to, you know, that's when they start thinking about, like, what they want to do with the rest of their lives. Um, and, I mean, I could personally relate to him. I mean, like, yeah, granted, anyone could see, like, if they were in Alex's situation, they would probably want to get out as well. Um, so I could totally relate to him. We also have Robert Prestman as Centauri. I think this was his last film performance before he unfortunately did pass away in, I think, shortly after the film premiered. Um, so I would like to dedicate this film to Robert Prestman. He did a fantastic job in this film, going from um, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna try and not as of now try and spoil some future scenes that are gonna happen. But he goes from being excited of finding the kid who was Alex who broke the record on Starfighter to being kind of just pissed off that like Alex just basically like denied the chance of becoming a starfighter, and then after saving him, he's like, "All right, let's do this." And I'll get to what happens to him when I get to my favorite scenes. Um, we have Dan O'Hurley as Greg. Now, at first, I was like, Dan O'Hurley. That the name isn't really ringing a bell, and I heard his laugh, like I heard his voice, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know where this came from. And so I looked it up, and surely enough, he played a few years after this film, he played the old chairman in RoboCop 1 and 2. And he would actually, before even this film, he starred in Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Playing the, I think the CEO of Shamrock Corporation. But that is a whole other can that I can get to in a future Halloween special. Um, but anyway, he plays. He does a fantastic performance as Greg, in this film. Um, and you can tell that I'm filming this kind of late. Um, and he does, like, he pulls off the emotions very well. Um, there's one scene that it kind of made me. I mean, granted, like, I liked the character, but this scene kind of made me feel like, oh, now I feel bad for him. Like, now I see why he joined the Star League. Um, but again, I'll get to that. Um, we have Kathy Mary Stewart, or Mary Stewart, sorry, as Maggie Garden or Gordon, who's basically the love interest for Alex, and she does a uh fine performance in this film, and I just really wish there was a lot more scenes that gave her um a little bit more character development, because so far in the film that we got, she kind of seems like at some points like really kind of a bitch, and like um we're just kind of like a little bit eccentric, um in like in like an angry way, like after Alex breaks the record, um they're they start talking, and they could see that like she's hiding something from him, and I'm like, why don't you just tell her, or like tell him like what you feel? But nope, she really keeps it a secret throughout the whole movie. And then when Alex returns, obviously he doesn't know what's going on, and he tries to talk to her, and she just fucking slaps him and goes, and like starts talking about the things that like about he supposedly did, and he's like, wait a minute, I couldn't have done that. I was in fucking space. And so he obviously returns back to his home and finds the beta unit, and he's like, oh fuck, that was the guy who did it. Um, and then um. And then I think there's a few scenes with the beta unit that, I mean, yeah, granted, with the beta unit, I can kind of see why she acts like the way that she does. Um, but especially around like the real Alex, it's just, this is weird. Um, we have Norman Snow as Zor, who is basically the villain of the piece. Rarely pops up throughout the movie. Like, he doesn't even pop up until when Alex shows up at the first time at the Star League, or like at the Starfighter base. Um, after the main guy, the main like the CEO of the Starfighters has his meeting with the recruits, one of them being Alex, and him talking with Greg and Centauri, you finally see Zor, and it's like through a transmission, you just see his floating head. And I'm like, they predicted this whole Zordon thing before Zordon was even a thing. Um, if you guys don't know what Zordon is, which some of you probably should know, but just in case you guys don't, he is the mentor of the original Power Rangers and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from 1983. Um, um, but yeah, like yeah, his first appearance is just his floating head, and he tortures a spy that they found in his base that was from the Starfighters. Like, I guess they sent a spy over there to like collect information, and yet we see that when Zor plans their when the Armada plans their attack. I'm not gonna say what it is because that's actually one of my favorite scenes. You see someone plant a bomb in the Starfighter base, so we know that the Starfighters had a spy in their facility as well. So like kind of both like on equal terms. We also have K.E. Cooter as Endurin. I mean, if someone has seen the movie and knows how to pronounce the name, type it down in the comments down below. But he's the CEO guy that I was talking about earlier. Um, and he does a fine performance with the few amount of scenes that he has, because he has the meeting, and then he has the like the confrontation between Zool or Zur, sorry, or however the hell you say it, and then he doesn't appear again until like the end of the movie. Um, he does like I said, he does all right with the amount of scenes that he has in the film. Um, I just don't think it's a it's not that much to really get to know him that much. Um, and finally we have Chris Hebert as Luz Rogan, who is the little brother or cousin, I think his brother, to Alex Rogan, and he does okay. I mean, really, most kids in films like in the 80s and 90s who weren't directed by Steven Spielberg probably were most likely gonna give bad performances. And this kid is definitely an exception to that, cause he did. It really, he did an okay performance. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too great. It was just in the middle. Granted, he didn't have that many scenes. Like I think he had a couple near the beginning, and like one or two in the middle, and then some at the end. So his scenes are pretty spaced out. And yeah, that's really it for cast members. So I'm gonna go into favorite scenes, and then we're gonna do the fun fact, then the music, and then we're gonna get on to my final rating for the film. And then I have some announcements, and we're gonna go on to the outro. But anyway, let's get on to the to my favorite scenes. All right, so we're gonna be discussing my favorite scenes, and I think my first favorite scene will honestly be the introduction to Alex, because you see everyone waking up. You hear one lady complain about um her internet going out, or like not her internet, but like her TV is going out, so she needs to get her antenna fixed. And then you see like everyone walking around and stuff, and you see Maggie, Alex's mom, Lewis, Granny. Yes, she is called Granny. Um, like literally, look at the credits, and you'll see Granny, and that's literally what she's called in the movie. Anyway, but yeah, you see all of them, and then Lewis is well, not Lewis is sent, but he kind of like wanders off to look for Alex, cause like I said, the one lady needs to get her antenna fixed, and Alex is really like I guess the only one that does it. I really don't know. Uh, but but yeah, Lewis walks off to try and find Alex, and he sees him at the this video game cabinet that's like outside of the like the market slash diner um of the I'm trying to find it of like the trailer park. Sorry, I don't know why that was so hard for me to trying to think about. Um, but yeah, but like the only like game that they have in the trailer park, or like the only diner and market that they have in the diner, or like in the trailer park. Sorry, they have this arcade cabinet called Starfighter, and you see Alex at it, and you hear the opening dialogue of you've been recruited by the Star League to defeat Zor and the on the Armada, and you see him getting like really good at it. And yeah, that's probably like my first favorite scene is like the introduction to Alex. Next one it would probably be the scene where he breaks the record. Like he's like the new record holder. Holder, not hoarder. Um, Strictly for the fact that like it's so like you would never see this in real life. Like granted, you would see like a whole bunch of people crowding around a game if someone's doing like really good in it, but probably would be like kids like from like 8 to like 16-year-olds, maybe up to like 21, 20. But these are like middle-aged like men and women. Um, and then you have Maggie and Lewis. Like who in the like who like what time or have you ever seen like 60-year-old people watch someone play a video game and about to be or about to get the world record? Not really. But it's hilarious nonetheless. So that's why I love the scene, and it is the scene where he does get the record. Um, Next favorite scene will probably be the introduction to Centauri, where um I should elaborate on this. Um, Alex has been trying to get out the trailer park. He doesn't like the lifestyle. I mean, like I said earlier, I personally 100% agree with him. And apparently he's trying to get a loan to, obviously move out. He doesn't. He gets a letter from somebody. I don't know. It doesn't really establish who it is. Um, but I think it's like the guy like trying to handle his loan or his dad or something. I don't know. And um, it turns out that something you don't exactly hear what happened, but it's something kind of bad that leads to him running away and like getting kind of pissed off that this bad thing happened, and he hears like the game freaking out, and he's like, "What the hell is going on over there?" And then you hear like this like the future car roll up, and Alex turns around, and you just see this future car just sitting there, and then you just hear Centauri's voice go, uh, "Can you tell me the person who broke the record for that game back there?" And the scene goes on, and you finally get introduced to Centauri and his quote unquote assistant, who is really just the beta unit. Um, and um, it's kind of funny that like he kind of just tricks him into getting it into his car, and it turns out to be a spaceship. Um, and it's like, wait, what? What the hell just happened there? And you get the classic line, of when they're about to like hit the ground after they go through the tunnel and like fall off the cliff. You just get the classic "oh sh," and he doesn't actually say it. They cut away. Um, but it's the classic thing. I mean, like Star Trek Generations used it. Several other films used it, and yeah, and the whole travel to the Minos, I think that's what it's called. Is a really great sequence. Next favorite scene would probably be uh probably the um uh I don't want to go straight to the final space sequence, but I wanted to having trouble thinking about other um any other favorite scenes, so screw it. My final favorite scene is the whole climactic battle in space, cause I said in space, cause the scene of Alex and Greg in the Gunstar fighting against the Armada, it's intercut with the Beta Alex going along with Alex's friends and Maggie to like a lake or something, and like from like on the truck to when the Beta Alex is trying to like get the moves um on Maggie, it's the cringiest thing ever. Like it's hella cringy, and I like always just like I always like plug my ears. I'm like, no, 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 we are not doing this. Um, but all the space stuff, like with Alex and Greg finding the Armada, is fantastic, and um, I wish that someone on YouTube could just make the whole space battle into one coherent scene. Um, because I think that would flow a lot better. Um, but that's just me. And I guess yeah, that's really it for favorite scenes. I'm gonna go over the fun facts because I actually just thought of one right now that I wasn't able to write down. Um, and I'm actually slowly starting to forget it. Ah, god damn it. See, this is what happens when you try to make a video and you're hella tired. You start forgetting things. Um. Oh yeah, yeah, no, I just remembered. My first fun fact I'm gonna talk about is the one I just thought about right now. Fun fact number one is that did you know that all of all the scenes with the Beta Alex is after Principal Photography wrapped? So yeah, main main filming ended, and they realized that they needed to go back and film more scenes with the Beta Alex. So they came back about a few months later, and they shot all the Beta Alex stuff with Lance Guest. And you could tell in the like especially in like the trailer park scene when they're on the truck and they're like going to the lake, you can easily tell that it's a wig. Um, because um, it's like way too. I'm trying to think of the like. It's way more afro than his actual hair. Like his actual hair is like it's curly, but it's like way more like mellowed out. Whereas the wig is like staying. It's like literally it's curly, but it's also like up here, and it's like Jesus Christ. Like it's really obvious that was a wig. But every other scene with the Beta Alex looks pretty seamless. That it looks like it was shot along with all the other scenes. But yeah, basically most, if not all, of the Beta Alex stuff was uh reshoots. And the second fun fact that I actually had written down here is all visual effects, not including practical effects like makeup and explosions. Well, yeah, makeup and explosions were made on a computer. Um, See, that's why I kind of lumped it in. Like you could compare, or you can at the start of this review, I said that you could have the Last Starfighter and Tron, like kind of like in the same conversation because they came out 2 years apart, and they were some of the first movies, some of the first mainstream movies to start using computers, and um, and so yeah, um, and it's a great because Tron tried to use it, like use computers or like like CGI for the stuff in the game. Whereas this one tried to be more realistic, and I think it definitely pulled it off. Like Tron pulled the graphics off for video games, or like for the video game world. This one pulled it off to make it look like in real life, and I think I actually give more credibility to the Last Starfighter, because when um when the production company went over to the computer company to get the CGI stuff done, um the computer company told them that it would take 19 months to finish, and they only had 6 months left to do all of the visual effects, and they got them all done within 6 months, which is crazy to think about. And I mean, yeah, granted, you could tell that it's early 80s CGI, but honestly, I don't care. It looks fantastic for 80 CG for like early 80s CGI. It looks great, and I gave real credibility to all the computer at the computer corporation. A real, you get a all you get gold stars. So good job for you guys. And finally, before we get on to the score, to my rating and the announcement, or like the outro stuff, I want to talk about the music. So the music was composed by Greg Safa, who I never heard of until started doing research on this movie. And holy crap, dude, his music is so good. It's like a mix of of like the marches from Star Wars mixed with Superman, and it gives like a real kind of like unique sound, and I love it. Um, it did get a night in I believe 1985, 84, like around probably around the time when the movie came out. A LP release and a cassette release of the soundtrack was released. I think the track, all the tracks were out of order, and you weren't, didn't sound right. And then in 1995 we had an expanded release, um, with I think about 6 more tracks. I think. Um, Both of these versions are really hard to come by. The 1995 version is really rare to come across on physical media. And the 1984 release is even more rare. So trying to hunt those down could be a real pain. But I believe Enchilada Records actually released a 2 CD or 3 CD set of the complete soundtrack. I'm actually gonna go and look that up real quick. All right, so I just looked it up, and yes, there is an expanded. There is a new release that came out actually in 2015. I'll show you the image of it if my camera can focus on it. There we go. I know it may be kind of hard to focus on it. Um, there. I can let my camera can focus. There's the expanded release right there. It was released in 2015. I believe it's only 1 CD. From the way it looks like, yes. Actually, let me read the back real quick. Yeah, it's only once. It's only 1 CD, but granted, it's the most affordable and the most readable version to find. Even though currently it is temporarily out of stock, it should be able to pop up again for order at some point. But yes, there is an expanded release. Um, but yeah, so final thoughts on the film. Um, I think you guys, well, actually, never mind. I think overall, The Last Starfighter is a really good movie that I think everyone should watch, and a film that isn't really actually talked about that much compared to some of the early 80s movies that used CGI, like Tron, for example. So I really give this a good recommendation, and I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. Really do recommend this movie. Alright, so, um, to really quickly mention it, tomorrow, well, technically later on today, but on Saturday, that will be starting, I will be starting my Christmas special. I don't know if this is gonna be an annual thing, probably not, especially with the schedule that I have um planned out for this December. But this is gonna be hopefully my first Christmas special, and if you guys go and check out the discussion section of my YouTube page, it will have some updates over there for scheduling and stuff like that. Not for specific dates. For well, actually, but yeah, sometimes it might have specific dates, but overall, it's gonna give you a general idea for what the next few videos might be. And you guys check out over there. I did mention that I was gonna do a Christmas special, so tomorrow I will be starting off with two classic animated movies that I think everyone should probably know about. So tomorrow we're gonna be talking about Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now I know these technically don't count as films because Frosty the Snowman is only like about like 25 minutes long. Rudolph only about like I think 52 minutes. And 48 minutes. Um, Granted, these probably are talking about in total for the amount of content in here. Especially for Frosty, because this one has not only the original version, but also Frosty Returns on the Blu-ray disc as well. So it's probably counting both of the time limits. Oh yeah, no, it is. So yeah, this one's 25 minutes. This one's about maybe 40 minutes. So yeah, really not not Christmas movies, but I'm still gonna put it up for the first days. And you guys can go and check out the rest of the schedule for the rest of the month. I will be having 2 reviews on each Saturday. Um, you can also check out um my YouTube channel right here, or you can just click down at the little bar underneath. You can hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for when future videos come out. Or and also you can just click right here to go to my homepage on my cute little face. And over here you can check out my most recent video, Tron, and my Thompson the Magic Railroad review, which is actually doing really well. So really do go and check both of these reviews out. Um, and yeah, so stay tuned for tomorrow where we're going to be talking about both Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. See you guys then. Live long and prosper. Out.